Because, it's a cycle. We have dawn and midday and dusk and midnight and dawn again, and it just goes around and around in a circle. People knew this a long time ago. Anytime you look at something linear in nature, if you change the level at which you're looking at it, it will always end up being part of a curve or a circle. So, for example, you say, well, I'm going to drive my car straight, and I'm going to drive it on a straight, flat road, and there you go. There's my example. I drove on a straight, flat road. That's a line. Okay? Hopefully some of you immediately go, I know the circle part of that. Okay, so what's the circle part of that? Well, that person that drove in the line, the straight line, we know, since they're driving on a spherical earth, they're actually driving on a curve, a part of a curve. If they haven't driven far enough, maybe the sensation is indeed that a straight line was taken. But we know that, again, and the more you drive, the more you might come to realize that you're actually on some kind of a curve. Especially now with air travel. If you use a compass and you fly around the world and you fly in one cardinal direction. Now, because of magnetism and things like that, actually you have to adjust a little bit. But you can fly in a straight line and keep going in a straight line, and eventually you're going to come around to the same point that you started in. So that line that you thought you were going in straight was a curve. And of course we know the famous Columbus, and the New World thing. Although I think they've said that actually at that time they knew the Earth was round and they were just looking for the East Indies and stuff like that. But anyway, you see. And again, the more you look at those examples where you thought you were going in a straight line, you're actually going in a part of a curve or a full circle. And it's actually true in space too. And that's one little point I want to bring up about that, is that, in my opinion, I think that because you can't actually go in a straight, so let's say you're trying to go to Alpha Centauri, but we know that Alpha Centauri, being the closest other star to Earth other than the Sun, I think it's like 2 million light years away. We know that with the way everything is moving in space, to get to Alpha Centauri, you would actually have to go in a curve. Okay? So even if you pointed your spaceship directly at Alpha Centauri, in order to get there eventually after 2 light years, okay, you would have had to have traveled on a curve. Why? Because Alpha Centauri is in an orbit. The Earth is in an orbit. The sun is orbiting. Everything is moving in some sort of orbit or circle. And if you were to go in a straight line toward what Alpha Centauri is right now, well, first of all, you'd be heading just toward the light that was generated 2 light years ago. Okay? And that light that was generated 2 light years ago is not coming directly from Alpha Centauri now. Alpha Centauri is now over here. Okay? So even when you think in the vastness of space that you're going in a straight line, you're actually going in a curve. And I think that that reality is one of the major reasons why I actually don't think outer space or the universe is this sort of ever expanding thing. Because again, the way our vision is set up, we evolved to see things on Earth. If we evolved to see things in outer space, we'd be seeing spheres and curves and spirals and things like that. And so things wouldn't make any sense on Earth. At any rate, the point is, in the natural world, in the universe, everything, depending on distance and time, eventually ends up in a circle. And that's natural matter in space, that's things on Earth, that's at the atomic level, that's at your level, the level you perceive things, the level things actually are for you. And so every single thing in nature, and very much in a secular explanation, but it extends beyond that, points towards reincarnation. Now, don't go asking if I can, can you prove it by saying, what you felt like in your life ago and things like that? No. You know that based on what I've just said, that would be an impossibility. So, there's many more things about reincarnation, but I think that's good for now. So hopefully that helped you out a little bit. I think it should make you feel good. I mean, I don't think you should feel like the cycle of birth and death and rebirth and things like that is this miserable cycle that has to be broken. I don't think so. And I'm not saying that there aren't hard times or miserable times or things like that. And I'm also, like I said, I'm not saying that any kind of religious worldview is somehow invalidated by this in any way. But you have to look at the evidence, and the evidence is right there in front of you and in your daily life. And we'll talk about math at a later point, but it certainly does not require any math. Okay? Math is just a language. Anyway, hope you have a great day, and thanks for listening to Lenny Ravitz.